Good evening. Welcome to October, everybody. We are the Shotcallers podcast, and we have put 3 NBA Finals games in the books. First appearance in the month of October. Hopefully, not our last appearance while the NBA Finals are going on. My name is Rich. I'm your host for this episode. On my digital left is my man Andre. Say what's up to the people, Andre.
Hey, what's up, people?
Safe from his humble abode separately, maintaining our social distance because we are still in a pandemic. Let's not forget. And we are so excited to break down these NBA Finals games, make some predictions for the ones that are upcoming, keep you guys up to date on the latest news. But first, we got to start with the most important things happening in our, I guess, world. We mentioned the pandemic. Stay safe, wash your hands, maintain social distance, try to keep your health and the health of others around you as a priority. And our other priority, as you guys might know, for those of you guys tuning in repeatedly to our show, is we are so about social justice for everyone, equal footing for everyone in the realm of, social interactions as well as democracy and government in the United States or wherever you might live. So we all know that the presidential election is around the corner. Today, Andre tells me, is the last day for you to have gotten registered to vote in this upcoming election. Make
For
sure you're
Texas.
for Texas,
Yeah.
at the very least. We're going to put a link for other deadlines for other states in our show notes. So if you guys are unsure, let us be your resource. Let us help you figure that out. And we had I guess, a bit of news come out from the Atlanta Hawks that didn't really fit, in my opinion, in the up or down news category. We wanted to shove it right here at the front, at the top. And what was it, Andre? What happened with the Atlanta Hawks this week?
So the Atlanta Hawks organization has announced that they're going to be introducing a new jersey, which will be to honor Martin Luther King. So, given the current climate of the country, everything going on in terms of Black Lives Matter and creating awareness of racial injustice, I think it's a good sign for the Martin Luther King's hometown to pay tribute to him, and just kind of bring more awareness to that, which will extend past this season and going forward. So,
Yeah,
and then even then,
2021. Mhm.
yeah, yeah, even then the jerseys look pretty dope. They're black and gold with MLK in the front for
Yeah,
each
and
one.
a
So, yeah.
great looking little signature at the little tagline at the bottom right of the jersey. Looks great. Nike, of course, is the sponsor and kind of, I guess, the designer of these jerseys for the Atlanta Hawks, debuting them whenever the next season starts off. And it's pretty cool because Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the thing that I think about when people say that is that I love watching all the NBA basketball that happens on that day. Usually
You
4 games, 5 games.
a lot of good games on that
It's a
day. Yep.
showcase Monday. Lots of great shoes coming out at that time, but we want to think about more of the impact in our general lives and how we conduct ourselves. So I think it's great to spread that out for an additional time of the year, not just in that February. And then another note from the Atlanta Hawks Nike release video of those jerseys is that proceeds from the sale of that jersey will go to support economic empowerment programs for Atlanta's communities of color. And like we always say, once we get wind of exactly how that empowerment is going down, we will try to give you guys more tangible evidence of that happening. So, just by me saying that, I hope that puts a little bit of onus on these companies to be transparent about where that money is going, where those proceeds are affecting change. So
Definitely, definitely helps the cause.
go vote, and if you can safely vote, go vote at your local NBA arena if they're open for you and your community. Vote, drive someone else to vote, help others vote that can't help themselves, and make sure we all make our presence known at the polls and vote and exercise your right. And with that, anything else you got to say, or should we move on to the next segment, Andre?
Let's keep it going.
Let's keep it moving. Social media, Andre, let the people know where they can find our work.
All right, so you can catch the boys over on Twitter at Shot Callers Show. Hit us up on Instagram at _Shot Callers. And if you want to drop us a line in Gmail and just want to drop us an email, you got something a little bit more wordy than the Twitter character limit will allow, send us an email at shotcallershow@gmail.com.
I will read the whole thing. Please send us as lengthy of an email as you would like to. Leave us a review via Apple Podcast if you listen to us on that platform. Really appreciate it. It keeps us kind of on the top of mind or top of the search results whenever people search the shot callers. We don't want to get beat out by any uprisers or newcomers. We want to be there for anyone that's looking for the NBA. So please leave those 5-star reviews. Leave us any feedback. Leave us a shout out. We're going to read the entire review on the podcast if you leave us one. So that's the number
Yep.
one way for you to get in on the show. So, with that, letting them
Can't
do that.
forget can't forget YouTube too. So we don't have an exact YouTube link, but you can catch us there. The video, the podcast, Shotcaller Show. You can catch the boys. We dropped a link on Twitter. Follow us there. You get all the updates. So
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So with that housekeeping out of the way, thank you guys. Let's go ahead and get on to our news segment. And if you guys have been tuning in recent episodes, you know we're gonna kind of take a brisk pace to this one. We're gonna say what qualifies for y'all's listening time. And if it's not that pressing, or we think that we're going to be able to get more information in the future, Andre's going to deem it with a keep it moving. We're going to just keep it moving. You know how we do it. So this is where I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an intro. Andre just deems it whatever he deems it, and we keep it rolling from there. All right. So as you guys might have noticed from I believe our last episode, Doc Rivers' tenure with the LA Clippers came to an end. But 24 hours later, it's like when you end a relationship with one girl and then you turn around and she just has a new boyfriend right at the next minute. Like what? Like was that happening beforehand? Was the groundwork already laid? Doc Rivers is now the official head coach of Andre's favorite team, the Philadelphia 76ers. Is this news, Andre? This face.
yeah,
That's
it's
the
like the
screenshot for
guys
this
the
one.
guys like failing upwards. So uh it's weird because, the whole argument for the 76ers was you want accountability in the locker room. Like the team needs a leader. But you look at the Clippers collapse, and that was kind of maybe their whole thing was the lack of a leader, lack of locker room control. So we'll see. We'll see if it's if Doc can institute, build a culture and get something going with those Sixers guys. He's definitely got the talent, but it'll be interesting to see if they can come together and learn to play more cohesively, consistently, and get a good offense running. So he can at least string an offense together. I think it's all right news. I mean, good get for the Sixers. I'm not sure who else they would have went. I don't know who do you think they could have got, Rich? I don't. Dan
I
Tony
definitely.
definitely is not a fit with no shooters.
I don't think that he's not. I mean, I'm not sure if he's not a fit. Of course, I'm not an NBA front office executive. I think they definitely could have landed him, depending
Hmm.
on what the front office wanted to do with the roster going forward, or what they felt they had the flexibility to do. But the quote that kind of sticks out to me as being foretelling of what might happen in the future is Doc said I was gonna take a break, but then the Sixers called me and they said, "You would you like to come coach for us?" And I said, with athletes like Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, there's no way that I couldn't do it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So if he's gonna be, attending, I think he attended a football game. No, he was watching the finals
Yeah,
with
they
the
watched game
executives.
one. They watched
Yeah,
game one. Yeah, and
they
he.
wined and dined him. They went to watch the game, but were really talking the whole time, getting to know each other. Everyone's made that move before, been on that
Yeah,
first date.
feeling her out. Yeah.
Exactly, and things are just going so smoothly. You're like, oh, I gotta just sign myself up for a second date, or 82 dates, or whatever's gonna
82
happen
days.
for Doc Rivers. But he said, I gotta do it. So that tells me that whatever they were saying in that meeting, they're saying we're not going to be making any substantial moves on the trade Joel Embiid, trade Ben Simmons front. So all those guys that are saying that all the time, that you got to trade one of them, you might as well shut your mouth now, because it's not going to happen. At least not before whatever trade deadline there is coming up. It's not going to happen in the offseason, is
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
think the
getting at.
quote Doc threw out was like they've won 62% of their games together. So yeah, they're sticking around for sure.
Mhm.
Yep. So maybe
We'll see what
news.
happens
We'll
on the
see what happens.
fringes. Yeah,
Exactly.
could be news, could be news. All right, so back on the East Coast, we seem to talk about the Eastern Conference a lot on this show, and that's not what I would imagine when we started this
Not
podcast.
many shakeups in the West, right? Yeah.
Mm, no, I guess not. Yeah, it seems like highly telegraphed, but I think it kind of flew under the radar for our episode. Steve Nash has been introduced as the Brooklyn Nets head coach over the past few weeks. Kind of surprising a lot of people because he doesn't have a lot of official head coaching experience. He's been an assistant player development coach or advisory role for the Warriors' epic title runs for at least the past 3 or 4 years. And so what that brings me to is a quote that came out from Kyrie Irving this weekend during a podcast this past weekend
Ooh, Kyrie
saying,
quotes.
yeah, and they're always good, right? Always gives you some material. So anytime Kyrie is a favorite podcast follow because he always gives us some material no matter what he says. So Kyrie Irving speaks on the coaching situation. I don't really see us having a head coach. KD could be a head coach. I could be a head coach. Jacques Vaughn could be a head coach, who's the assistant that was previously interim head coach for the Nets during this bubble run. So is this news, Andre? Are we throwing shade at
Man,
Steve
it
Nash? What's going on here?
really makes you think, man. What is the head coach to you, Richard?
I think
Like,
it's the guy that literally has the title. Like, come on.
I mean, hey, we can all just take turns, man. We don't really need one. I don't know, man. Kyrie, they should. They really need a. I don't know.
What are they gonna do?
He,
But
take the
but
mic
some,
away from him, man. You need to. He needs to run his lines by his agent or something before he says anything. But
so you're
we're gonna see,
saying
man. It's a little shade thrown to Steve Nash. A little bit of disrespect. I kind of feel, but
so you feel like he
he,
meant to disrespect a little bit, like kind of.
he might not have intentionally, but it comes off that way, right?
Steve Nash seems like a very humble guy, also a
Yeah,
very confident guy. So I think it was this comment is going to roll off his back, and he's not even going
yeah,
to, try to have any kind of friction by even addressing it. I think he's going to let it
yeah.
roll, play it cool. He's known as Mr. Teammate. He's the
Right.
one that instilled high five everybody in the world when he was playing on the Suns. You know what I mean? That
The thing
usually
is, this is gonna be a volatile team, so he's gonna have to, strap up the boots and lay down the discipline for these guys to keep them together. Because depending on who you talk to, I don't know if that team really has that alpha leader person who can really do it. You got people who want to take that role and want to be that guy, but who's going to be the guy to keep
sometimes.
everyone together, right? So
Hmm.
he's going to have to be ready to call them dudes out. So
Gotcha, gotcha. So Andre says that this is news and something for us to watch going forward. So next up, in our hometown of Dallas, Andre, in unfortunate news, maybe fortunate depending on how you look at it, given recent developments, Delonte West was actually photographed on Instagram, panhandling, asking for spare change on, I think, I-75 or at a gas station in Dallas. Seeking help, looking really disheveled, really distraught, down on his luck, not clean, dirty, hungry, every full of despair, really. And that tweet, that Instagram post went viral, especially around the Dallas area. People were looking for him. People were calling out NBA players, NBA owners saying, "You can't help this guy. This is what you guys do to your ex-players." And since then, Mark Cuban picked him up and checked him into a rehab facility.
yeah, he's in
Uh,
rehab in Florida now, I think. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Got in contact with his mother. We've given you guys kind of the gist of it all. We don't have many updates past that. What do you say about this one, Andre?
Not really news, but it's a good thing. It's a nice thing to hear. You hate to hear about a former player who's hard on his luck, dealing with mental illness, out of touch with his family, but it's good to see the Dallas community and ownership come out and help him and kind of steer him right back on track. So it's just a pleasant story. Not much to hear outside of that.
Yeah, I don't always hear a lot of positive stories about my hometown, to be honest. Cowboys lose all the time and just general negative
Depending on
stuff.
who you ask, that could be a positive story. So
I guess so, I guess so. So we'll keep it moving. And so this is something that doesn't have a tweet associated with it, but in the first two games of the NBA Finals, when the Heat had like the worst, most horrendous look possible in Game One, had a good offensive showing in Game Two, but still took a beat down in the box score, lost, went down 0-2. The talk inevitably turned to who's going to be Finals MVP. Is it going to be Anthony Davis? Does that tarnish LeBron's legacy? No matter what Anthony Davis does, if he's averaged 40 points a game, 25 rebounds, and 10 assists, is LeBron going to get the Finals MVP anyway? Because that's what he deserves and is right for his legacy. Is this squabble between which guy is going to get the most glory? Is this worth our time, Andre? Is this news? Does it matter for anybody involved?
not really. The player said we don't get jealous of each other, so why do other people create narratives? So I don't think it's that big a deal. Whoever gets it gets it. I can see it going either way. Honestly, they're both very important to the team. 1A, 1B. You can choose who wants to be the A and the B, but they're pretty equal in terms of importance to me. So it don't matter.
So you're saying keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving. All right. Next up. Next up. Vanessa Bryant, widow of Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace, actually is filing a lawsuit with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department over some photographs that were shared, I guess, over social media, fresh after the accidental helicopter crash that took the lives of many innocent victims, including the helicopter and pilot. Gigi or Gianna Bryant and Kobe Bryant, and Vanessa Bryant was distraught to find these images were being shared, and that it actually didn't violate sheriff county guidelines saying that you cannot share photographs from a crime scene. However, this being an accident scene, I guess there was some sort of loophole and some, you know, predatory persons were sharing these photos. What do you think about this, Andre?
I mean, it's shameful to see. You want to hold people are held to a higher standard than that, and sensitive to the families and other people involved.
Mhm.
But I mean, it is what it is. I hope she gets some kind of justice for this. I wouldn't say this is news, but this is just it's sad to see. I just hope everything goes well for her
Yeah, it's
in terms of
despicable
this. Uh,
because you want to have empathy for others. Think of yourself in that person's shoes, that family member's shoes that has to get that news, and to kind of relate it to a 100% more lighthearted topic. Like you can listen to interviews from Adrian Wojnarowski where he has to report news of a trade of a player, and sometimes doesn't have the time to inform the player that he's going to be traded. So he has
right,
to put that information out on Twitter, and that guy has to uproot his family, move him across the country, whatever promises were made for school or whatever it might have been for his family, he's got to just kind of uproot it without having advance notice. And if that can make someone feel bad when it's definitely just business, imagine
right.
the feeling of something that's more
Life or death.
important than anything related to the business world. So just got to say, have a heart, people. Have some empathy. That's the number
Hmm.
one thing. And then to wrap up our, let's keep it moving, Andre. To wrap up our keep it moving news segment, we got a little hint of some Linsanity. Uh, Jeremy Lin has let us know that he is planning to end his career, I think, in the Chinese Basketball Association, the second biggest league, as far as scope in the world, as far as basketball is concerned, and prepare for free agency and making his eventual return to the NBA should a team pick him up. Is this news? Take it any way you want. Is it news for a team? Is it news for you as a fan? Is it news for, or is it not?
I guess it's news for some people out there. For me, like he went to the finals last year. Like he had a chance to go back in free agency and get signed. I don't know if he did that or if he said he wanted to retire and go to China, but now he's back. So if there's any team out there that feels like they can benefit from having a veteran guard who's 34 years old and maybe not as effective as he would have been younger, I guess it's good to hear. But for me, being a Mavs fan, I not much news for me,
So he
man.
says, keep it
I don't
moving.
need him on my team. Like,
Yeah, I think something that was said was like, great news. Somebody should pick him up, just not
right.
my team.
Not my team, right?
I think, if Mike Miller can find his way onto a roster at age like 38, 39, I think, you can definitely say somebody could use a beneficial, veteran, teach the young guys how to exercise, keep guys in shape, keep them in line, sort of calming presence in the locker room. That'd be
Hmm.
cool. You think the Kings could use some good influences? I think so.
I think maybe on the coaching staff.
The Hawks just lost. The Hawks just lost. The Hawks just lost Vince Carter to retirement, so that was a good calming presence. Although he was getting buckets, man, he was scoring. So yeah, let's keep it moving. But I guess the shot callers say somebody should sign that guy. We don't know who. All right. So with that, let's get to the nuts and bolts of it all, Andre. We've had 3 games in the books, as I said at the top of the show. We're getting to the main segment here. Please take your time. Tell us anything or everything that you want to say about how you felt going into this series. Maybe after game 1, maybe after game 2. Game 3 happened with a historic performance by Jimmy Butler. I'm sure we'll talk about that plenty as it being the most fresh in our minds. What do you want to regale us with to start off, Andre?
Man, honestly, game one was like a nightmare for the Heat. Like it starts off as a dream. Everything's going well.
Mm-hmm.
They get that 13-point lead, right?
Yep. It was like
Then
terrific.
Lakers,
Turnovers galore.
Lakers timeout. They go on that incredible run. Um, Dragic leaves the game first. Jimmy think his ankle tears his ankle, turns his ankle a little, so he has to go to the bench. Bam, the shoulder. Just injuries start hurting him, and then the Lakers just start reining it in, throwing it to AD, turnaround jumper, can't stop it, can't beat it. Um, just a nightmare for them to lose all their players like that, and to have been holding the lead so like solidly in the first quarter. I mean, it's hard to see because honestly, my expectations. I gave you guys my expectations last week. I thought the Lakers would
You
win
said
in
Lakers in 5, I thought.
5 or 6. But after that first game, it looked really, really bad. And this is before the announcements for Dragic and Bam not playing. So Hero was out, just off. He couldn't nail a shot. He got a lot of good looks. He just couldn't make a shot. Duncan Robinson, both were off. It just things just weren't going well for them. Uh,
And
especially with
Anthony
all
Davis was scorching the earth. He was
yeah, he was
10% at one point,
I
or
think
9% from the
yeah.
field.
Shooting I think he was shooting like 50% from mid-range before game 3. So, like, he was unstoppable, just Michael Jordan right there. It was crazy because I think he usually shoots about 36% on those mid-range jumpers. So to see him be unstoppable like that, it's like, what can you do? LeBron gets
Mhm.
the ball top of the key, pass to AD, and then can't do anything. And then the Lakers hit that barrage of threes, like breaking.
Dude.
You never see them shoot like that, but
Yeah,
LeBron
it's
gets them
like
plenty of. They get plenty of open looks, but they never drain the shots.
right, right,
So
right. And it's like, you think to yourself as anybody that's going up against the Lakers, the Nuggets thought this, the Rockets thought this. Who did they play in the first round? The Portland
Blazers,
Trailblazers thought
yeah,
this too. They said, all right, we're going to throw double teams as much as we can at Anthony Davis anytime he's anywhere near the goal. We're going to throw doubles anytime LeBron tries to drive to the post, and he's going to score anyway. But if he passes out, we will live with Alex Caruso, Kyle Kuzma, Danny Green trying to shoot these shots. And
and when
like
if
you
they're
lived with
making
it,
them,
you lived with it, they lived with it, and they died too. Like they got killed. Like KILT killed everybody on the
killed.
Lakers that played made a three. Even Quinn Cook. Go look at the scoreboard. Anybody that might have tuned out, go look again. Look at that scoreboard right there. Quinn Cook scored. He made his three. Marcus Morris made his threes. Danny Green was making threes. Everybody was raining it in from all sides. It was just it was like in 300 when the arrows filled the sky and blotted out the
Lock up
sun.
the
Like
sun,
you
yeah.
couldn't see the sun. No way. It was
And
ridiculous.
it's just one of those games, man. If every role player's hitting threes, you can't win.
Mhm.
If you're
And
leaving
the
them open, like you just can't win.
that and kind of what you said came true, Andre. You said that we didn't think that the Heat were going to bring the zone defense out very much. And but the Heat did played about I think 40% of their possessions in zone, and they were getting gashed. Those short guys at the bottom of the zone near the basket were getting back cut like crazy for Anthony Davis lobs, Dwight Howard lobs.
Hmm.
Uh, as soon as Dwight Howard to start off game one, they were torching him. They were going right at Dwight Howard, putting him in space. He was looking like Enos Kanter in the pick and roll. They were driving at him, creating help needs for the Lakers so that they could pass out to open threes by Duncan Robinson, who was looking good in the beginning. And that run that you mentioned was looking terrific. But as soon as Dwight Howard got subbed out, Anthony Davis went to the five, and all that shooting was on the floor, which was super hot. So it stayed true. Even Rondo's making threes out there.
Yeah,
It was you made it more hesitant to help off those guys, and Anthony Davis was able to feast and just have so many easy buckets. And that's not a knock on Anthony Davis for saying that his attempts were easy. Just because you're not fading away over two guys, in the mid range, doesn't mean that you're not an elite scorer. An elite scorer makes it as easy for themselves as possible. Just
right.
like the Rockets say threes and twos, LeBron saying I'm just gonna lay it up every time that I can, just drive to the rim, or Steph Curry, he shoots those threes with ease. Why would he shoot anything else? So crazy. It was a terrific display of athleticism, cohesiveness, and then getting out in the fast break. Kind of, I think, was what I was mentioning in last episode too.
Yeah,
To
defensive
streak,
intensity. Yeah,
yeah, streak it down the floor. Even on made baskets, made free throws, those Lakers were leaking out and almost cherry picking on every opportunity that they could. So
yeah,
that
pretty
game.
much. Like, I don't want to cut you off, but like
Oh,
game two,
good.
LeBron had what, like 10 assists, 0 turnovers. He had 2 turnovers in the first between the first 2 games, all of
Hmm.
them in game 1.
Hmm.
And I think what both of them were in that first before they went on that 13-0 run.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah,
it
so
looked bleak at first, but we're
yeah,
moving over to game two over here, and I thank you for that because it lets me highlight the stat line you mentioned: 33 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 56% shooting overall, 2 for 5 from the 3-point line, or from the free throw line, which is his only like blemish on the resume there for LeBron,
of
and
course.
it almost pales in comparison to Anthony Davis, 32, 14, 1 and 1, 15 for 20 shooting, 75% field goal percentage, and
How many of those are from
he
mid
was
range? God, that's still
oh,
crazy.
and some of those misses were from when he missed, got his own rebound and put it back. You got
Right.
to tally up a miss on that.
Yeah.
He was 14 for 15, and I was like, there's nobody could
You
no
can't.
the Katy Warriors couldn't stop this. I don't think. It was out of this world. He looked out of his own body. It was awesome to watch.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, we've been talking about the Lakers so much. We've been kind of singing their praises, and deservedly so. But anybody that watched those first two games are burying the Heat, of course, and that's not surprising. But the Heat played well on offense that game. They
They did.
couldn't get a handle on the defense. They shot 50% from the floor, 40% from three in that game, and 90% from the free throw line as a team, and they still lost by 10. Like that's how on all cylinders the Lakers were playing, and how a testament to how uncharacteristically weak the Miami Heat were showing on defense in that game. So I thought that was crazy to watch and still very entertaining, but not the result that a fan looking for outright excitement that maybe isn't looking at the subtleties is going to enjoy. So a little bit of a letdown as far as watching goes
And
in that
that's
game.
just how injuries go, man. They ruin what could be a super good matchup, especially this the highlight of the season, right?
Hmm.
But I mean, they brought it back game 3. You can tell that they didn't want to go down 3-0. And Jimmy Butler, man, that dude turned it on. I think what was that? He had was a net rating of 52 that game.
That sounds correct. It was out of this world.
That's second all time for
And he couldn't
playoff
rest
game.
like as soon as I don't think the Heat even scored buckets when he wasn't on the floor. Like they
Mhm.
were just losing in those minutes, and there was a moment at the start of the third quarter where Spoelstra wanted to rest, or started fourth quarter where Spoelstra wanted to rest Jimmy Butler a little bit, and it was like 11 minutes and 24 seconds left, and they're like, "Oh, you got to get up, Jimmy. You got to get back in here. We can't survive without you."
Right.
Um, he was he was a marvel to watch. He reminded me of the game that I've referenced on this show two times before. He had a game in Chicago where he scored 2 points in the first half and 38 points in the second, and it was all driving to the rim, all getting contact, going to the free throw line, mid
Mm.
ranges. Jimmy Butler can knock down big shots. He's not afraid of the moment. We've seen him make big threes. However, he is not the most skilled shooter from any range that he chooses to shoot from. So on nights like you saw on Sunday night, where he did have the range and the touch that night, even the toughest shots were looking easy. Little step back, 3 foot away over LeBron James shots when LeBron James has switched onto him as the primary defender. Oh, and before we go all the way into game 3, I said that the Heat had a mischaracteristic, intensity level on defense. Yeah, man. Anytime that the LeBron James and Anthony Davis and whoever's running the pick and roll wanted to hunt whatever matchup they wanted, they'd call up Tyler Hero's guy to set the screen, and the Heat were not fighting. They were just giving up to whatever switch they wanted, saying, "All right, we're gonna switch. We're not gonna fight that hard over these screens." And the Lakers were feasting, so just giving away, squandering that offensive brilliance that the Heat were showing, where everybody was getting good shots, generating good looks from gravity, that guys like Duncan Robinson produced. And so I take us back to that to compare us to Game 3, where the Heat were tenacious. They were all over Anthony Davis. They were fronting him in front of him. They had a big guy behind him to defend the lob pass that was killing him in previous games. Great adjustment by the Heat defense, Udonis Haslem and Eric Spoelstra coaching all together. I thought that was terrific. I thought that they were not giving away that switch easily. Duncan Robinson and as soon as that screen came with Duncan Robinson's man, they would double LeBron a little bit, try to get it forced out of his hands, and then rotate properly so that Duncan Robinson could get back to whatever man he could, back to safety, to make the Lakers burn more time off the clock to try to do that thing again where LeBron tries to pick on the weakest defenders in Hero and Robinson. So Jimmy Butler's going to get the headlines, but as a team, they backed him up because the Lakers were in it, Andre, don't you think? They were
They
within
were.
striking distance the whole
Oh
time.
yeah, yeah, the whole time. They could have brought that back. That was up until the last 3 minutes, they were still in that game. Even then, like last 2 minutes really. But another thing that you probably didn't touch on was they got a lot more offensive production out of Kelly Olynyk in game 3.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude, he was. I don't have that written down for him. I don't have his exact stats, but what I do have written down is that he was rebounding less like a guard and more like a big man. He was boxing out, getting two hands on the ball, putting force up there. They had lineups with Myers Leonard, Kelly Olynyk, Tyler Hero, and Duncan Robinson. All the white guys with Jimmy
Yeah,
Butler, and they were
white
still
hot,
surviving.
man.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
they were white
It's
hot. That's
because
funny.
the scoring was so strong, man. Like Kelly Olynyk, let me see. He was shooting, yeah, 55%, 3 of 5 from three. Like he was, as soon as he got, it's like he had the green light to shoot whenever he got the ball because he was just letting it rip. And like that is exactly what they needed from him. Because, like you said, well, in the first two games they kind of had the offense, but in this game three they were really struggling outside of that. And between him and Jimmy, they mostly carried the offensive load. So they needed more production for people who weren't just out there in the starting. So Kelly Olynyk was a good offensive boost for them, helped them in rebounding. And honestly, usually that's LeBron's go-to guy when he wants to, create a play. He'll have them the person guarding or the
He said,
person Olympics guard.
wherever Olynyk is, we're gonna
That's
torture
where
him.
that's where he's attacking. But he kind of held his own well in game three. So that's
Yeah, he
exactly
said.
what they needed from him.
Usually he's like, Olynyk family, don't look at this. Don't look at what is about to happen because we're about to
Yeah.
torch this man.
Right.
And yeah, if you look at the stats, something that I kind of marked down was Duncan Robinson was 4 for 12 from the field, 33% shooting, which is not what you think you want from someone that can easily shoot 40% from three, with his eyes closed. But
Mhm.
the way that the defenders, even if he doesn't have it going, it's the reverse Rondo effect in the
Right.
regular season. Even if Duncan Robinson isn't shooting well, wherever he's out on the floor, you can go
Gotta
back and look.
respect him. Yeah.
Rondo is not even moving one step to show help defense. Uh, Contavious Caldwell Pope had to follow him on a pick and roll on the right wing. Go over the screen and chase him so hard that Caldwell Pope was fully out of the play, so that when Duncan Robinson did a Draymond Green-esque short roll towards the rim, it was easy. It was 4-on-5 or 5-on-4. They had the man advantage because KCP had to follow him way out there. So that's gravity. It's not exclusive to Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. It can happen
No,
as long as you have elite
if you
skill.
can shoot and cut, then yeah, you can create it. Yeah. So it'll
Exactly.
be
So
interesting to see.
I
I
thought
want
that
to.
was terrific. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was.
Yeah, man. And so I mentioned Rondo. I wanted to mention a couple of, I guess, sort of dark spots because we're talking about a lot of the bright spots. Rondo, who had been a heavy lifter in the Denver series and in the Lakers series right before this, because he was getting Anthony Davis the ball in great spots off of a spin, he made Anthony Davis look like an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman sacking the quarterback. He spun off Kelly Olynyk for a lob, just a rip swim move, looking like
Mhm.
put him in the laundry machine, and then just jammed it on him. So Rondo does a lot of great things on offense for this Lakers team when LeBron is looking tired. He had two crazy layups. Like one of them hit like the top of the rim or the top of the
Yeah, I saw
backboard.
that,
It
man. It
didn't
was
go
like
to
all the way
bounds.
up at the tip. They had to check and
Yep,
see if
yep.
it's out of bounds. That was crazy.
And Mark Jackson actually had a good, comment on it. He said, "If we're playing horse, just give me an H. Like I'm not even gonna try it." Uh, he had 5 assists, but he missed all of his shots. He missed all three of his 3 3-point attempts. So that bonus found money wasn't there for him this game. On the other side, Kendrick Nunn. So I like that Spoelstra keeps trying to go to him a little bit because, as wonderful as Jimmy Butler is in a lot of facets, he does have his weaknesses where he's not as strong as others. He's not exceptionally fast with the ball. That's what they want Goran Dragic out there to do, and he's looking more unlikely to play with that plantar fascia tear. I don't know if we
Yeah.
mentioned it before, but he tore his plantar fascia, which is why it looked so concerning when he hurt his foot with nobody around him. He didn't step on anybody. He didn't jump.
Right.
For someone that's had a problem like that, just go back and look at Joakim Noah. That plagued him for multiple years. But without that speed, they needed it from somebody, and Kendrick Nunn was able to sort of pop the balloon of the Lakers defense and cause a little ripple where people are going to have to help. Because if you can't do that in tight man to man, you're just stuck going around the perimeter if nobody can really penetrate. He had 2 early turnovers and actually ended up slipping and seeming like he hurt himself on a wet spot on the floor, and it looked pretty bleak because they were going to go up possibly 2 points there on a lay-in or maybe an and one. Turned it over,
Right.
and then LeBron James got an and one on the other side. So it looked like a really big swing, but something I thought was worth mentioning and something I want to watch to see if Eric Spoelstra goes with it going forward.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
um, as
so
as
yeah,
far as
looking forward.
oh, go ahead, Andre.
I know. So I know Bam was marked as questionable for the next game. Do you know if he's going to be available today?
I actually do. He is going to be available. And I had one more thing to kind of heap some praise on Jimmy Butler because this is a special performance that we saw on Sunday night. He is one of only 3 players to have recorded a triple double, 44 in 44 minutes. Oh, 2 things I got to say about him. So in 44 minutes, Jimmy put up, let's see, 40 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 70% shooting, like you said, 12 for 14 from the free throw line, and no 3-point attempts made. We will forgive the obvious layups that he probably should have put in and then passed out to the perimeter for turnovers at one point. We'll forgive that. That was a terrific, terrific, terrific,
All
terrific,
time
terrific
performance.
performance
Yeah,
all time.
it's like Allen
So
Iverson,
only
2001.
only LeBron James and Jerry West have put up those stat lines in the finals, and Jimmy's the only one that ended up having their team win as a result of those stats. LeBron's was in 2015 against the Warriors, being undermanned, kind of like Jimmy Butler was in this game. And you wanted to move us towards adjustments, which I do too, and this kind of leads me to it. Guess how many shots Jimmy Butler took outside of the paint in Game 3? 4. He took 4, but
Oh,
there were no threes, no threes. So as far as adjustments go, I want to hear what you think that the Lakers or the Heat might do going forward. I got a real big obvious one that we kind of alluded to already, but when they're running that pick and roll with Jimmy Butler, I really think that no matter who the defender is, LeBron James, whoever it might be, is going to be going under the screen, trying to entice him to shoot.
yeah, trying to force them to shoot. Yeah,
Like I said, that Jimmy Butler isn't the fastest player in the world with the ball. It's not like Ben Simmons, Giannis, or LeBron, where they're gonna get that where those guys get a big head of steam and it's like dangerous to get in front of him. Jimmy Butler is gonna hurt you if you try to go up to him, but he's just not quite as fast. So that's not something that I don't think he can turn to every time you go under. He's gonna keep the ball moving, and if other guys don't got it going, that might bode well for the Lakers if that's the adjustment that they make.
so
Anything else you want to say?
I'm interested in seeing how that turns out because the Heat, they run a pretty advanced movement based offense. So if I wonder how long that'll be effective, because I know if the Lakers sag off, I can see them having running another action, a dribble handoff where either
Mhm.
Tyler Hero or Duncan Robinson runs up and Jimmy just hands them the ball after that
Yeah,
mid
and then
screen
it's kind of
and then they
chaotic,
make an
uh-huh.
open shot. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that'll be interesting. I can dip, man, because that's how they have to run their offense, especially without Dragic. So I'm sure
Mhm.
that's Spoelstra's working on ingraining that into them as well. But I mean, that's the obvious counter for the Lakers, right? You got to take what you're given and kind of force their hand to do that. So um, at the end of the day, the guys are still going to have to make the shots. In terms of the Lakers, though, I feel like I think they would just stick to the game plan outside of what you just mentioned, right? Because
They're
that was
looking pretty good, right? But
yeah, they're looking
I think there's some obvious things that they might do to kind of swing it even more in their favor.
right.
And so you mentioned Duncan Robinson going into the action, and we already talked about that gravity. But another negative on the Lakers side is Danny Green's not giving them anything. He's playing good defense in transition. He's not losing his man. He's not getting burned. He's still a very smart defender. But even in game 3, 0 for 6 from the field, no
Did
threes
he?
made, 0 for 4.
There was one possession where I think he got his rebound twice.
Mhm.
He shot 3 times and he missed it 3 times. So
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
you're
So
right, man.
he just hurting. But so if you look at the Lakers starting lineup, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, Danny Green, and Kentavious Caldwell Pope. What is that? Is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. So I think an easy substitution would be to put Rajon Rondo in, get more passing in the starting lineup so that LeBron James doesn't have to create quite as much. And if they have any kind of foul trouble on Anthony Davis, there's still some passing and facilitating to be done with Rondo in the starting lineup, and maybe he'll shoot a little bit better, coincidentally. So that's one thing that I think that the Lakers could do and probably should do if they want to do it more. They didn't post up LeBron James at all. He looked tired. So I wonder if that was because I mentioned at the beginning of our game 3 kind of talk, they were doing a great job on Anthony Davis defending him. Jay Crowder was fronting him. So Anthony Davis is behind me on camera, and then behind him was another big Myers Leonard or whoever could be back there. Solomon Hill got a few minutes, and he contributed valiantly. So I wonder what's going to happen on that end, if LeBron James is going to have his legs more under him, because there was a time where Kelly Olynyk kind of just stole the ball on a LeBron James drive, and when do you think
Yeah, he
that's going
got
to
2
happen?
steals last game, right?
Exactly,
So
exactly. So I think they're going to put a real short leash on Danny Green. I think they're going to have an even shorter leash on J.R. Smith. Did you see that J.R. Smith like turn
yeah,
around fade away in the corner? Just
he had open open Caruso, and he's like, "Nah, let me take this contested fadeaway 3
no,
plank."
no overtime tonight. Ball game. But yeah, so I think that's great. The Heat went away from their man to man. They went away from their zone defense. They played very limited zone defense. They played more man to man, and
Mhm.
that's what kind of goes with that cliche of make them feel you that you hear a lot of guys saying that the Miami Heat weren't making the Lakers feel them. And man to man
Mm.
obviously is very easy to get a body on someone because you know exactly who you got to box out. So maybe that contributes to it. And then yeah, and so I think that's kind of where I think we're gonna see. Oh, and then the number one adjustment that he can make: bring back Bam Adebayo if he's healthy, and we hear he's healthy. So I think that's the obvious one.
Yeah, definitely. You need take some of the load off of Jimmy and off the guys cutting and stuff too. I mean, they're still gonna have to do that, but yeah, he just brings so much to the game for them that like you need him right now. The team's
Yeah,
exhausted, so
he's another person to facilitate. He's another person that is strong as fuck.
a good
Hopefully he can get
rebounder, defender.
a great rebounder. Yeah, defender. Hopefully he can put some fouls on Anthony Davis if you're a fan of the Heat. And just going to the free throw line. Like there's so many benefits to doing so. You stop the clock, put some points on the board. If you're down, you kind of catch up without the clock moving. You get minuscule rest for your guys, and you get to set your defense. The Lakers are surprisingly fast, something that I didn't think was going to be said about them when I was watching them during the regular season, looking kind of old, but they're fast because they got to be. Their offensive in the half court isn't always great when their guys don't have it going astronomically well.
Hmm.
So when Jimmy Butler's going to the line, it's a much better chance that he gets set in a defensive rotation or formation properly, especially with Bam out there, hopefully getting some fouls drawn as well, and not getting into foul trouble himself. Although Myers Leonard, the Coors Light King, flexing all over everybody, looking all tough, playing good help side defense, being positive, keeping spirits high even in this bleak situation. Just want to shout him out, doing a great job chugging the Coors on the sideline or between games, not on the sideline. So that's all as far as adjustments go. One final adjustment: have Coors Light available for Myers Leonard. Maybe it's like his secret stuff.
Yeah, secret stuff.
Whew. All right. So
Who
with
you
all
got
that
today?
said,
Who you got?
oh man, I gotta make my prediction come true. So I gotta go with the Heat because if it's 3-1 Lakers, there's no way that the Heat are gonna win three in a row, no matter who's available or not available. Because if Bam and Dragic were magically available for this game, um, they got to play well on top of that. You know what I mean? They can't be minuses. There's two steps to the process. They're not just magically healed. So I got to take the Heat. I think that the adjustments and the Heat tenacity, I think it's going to carry over now that they've kind of drawn blood. We didn't even mention Tyler Hero having a bad shooting performance, but still coming up in the clutch, having the confidence. Insert three cliches here about not being afraid of the moment, being a young guy, being 20 years
Yeah, he's
old,
a rookie. Yeah,
all that stuff. Having the snarl. Do your best snarl
little
for Tyler
swagger.
Hero, Andre. What's the best one right here? Which one was it? I can't even do it. But yeah. So I think that it's going to carry through, going for a tied series, and that's all you could really ask for as bleak as it was going to go. So go ahead and give us a rain on our parade, Andre. What's going to happen in this game?
He gonna lose. No, I can. Yeah, the Heat are gonna lose.
Okay, okay. So
I
you heard
think
it.
actually, yeah, the Heat are gonna lose. They're gonna lose this one, win the next one, and then lose again.
I'll still even take that over what would have probably been a sweep without Jimmy Butler's heroics. So okay, this episode I'm gonna try to get it up as fast as possible. We started recording at 6:20 p.m. Central Time. The game's gonna start at 8 p.m. Central Time. So if you are, avid listeners, are loyal fans, if you're gonna listen to it same day, that's terrific. If you can listen to it tomorrow, that's great too, because you can hear what we were wrong about, what we might have been right about after you guys watch the game. whatever feedback you guys have in terms of that, or something you want to add to the discourse, please tweet us. Please let us know on, in Gmail, any kind of format you want to. We love talking basketball all the time, not just with each other, but with you guys too. So let us know. Give us some listener questions. And now that we've wrapped up those predictions and our main digest of the NBA games, let's get to our listener mail, Andre.
All right, what we got?
All right, this time our listener mail comes from Alex Romero. So, oh, and I think I misread this a little bit. So, if the mascots were basketball players, so the NBA mascots, Stuff the Magic Dragon, Rocky the mountain lion from Denver, does the Lakers
Sun's
even have a
gorilla.
mascot? The Suns gorilla. But you didn't know the question. Oh, did I say the question? If they were basketball players, who would be the most dominant?
Yeah, who would be the most dominant?
All right, who do you got, Andre? Who's the most dominant mascot?
Man, let me look at these guys because I didn't honestly didn't know all these mascots, right? Like Mavericks, we have two. We have Mavs Man and Champ, but neither of them are very dominant. So looking at these guys, I'm thinking, y'all seen Brooklyn Knight? I didn't know that dude. I didn't
Yeah,
know he was a mascot. He looks
he's
like a
got
superhero, man.
he's got a sword.
He
Dude,
got a sword and a
did you know
cape and a shield.
The Sixers have Hip Hop the bunny?
Wait, they got a bunny? I thought they had that bulldog.
Yeah, they got Pierre the pelican. Since his makeover.
Pierre's like second place. He's runner up.
Bernie the Heat. The guy
Wait,
that
who?
looks like
Bernie? Oh, he looks like
yeah, the
the
orange, like the guy from,
the Philadelphia.
from every,
Yeah,
yeah, the Philadelphia guy.
yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Nah,
All right, so you got to give us your answer,
no.
Andre.
I'm
Who is
telling you,
the most
It's
dominant?
Brooklyn Knight because he got a gun and he got a shield and sword and he looked like Slade.
He has a gun. Are you
He
sure?
looks like Deathstroke. It might just be the cannon, the shirt cannon, but that looks like he got a utility belt and he pulled that out if you get saucy.
I don't
It's,
know, man. So if I got three kind of contenders for this title.
look at
The
Brooklyn Knight, bro.
No, yeah. We don't care about that anymore. Stuff the
Nah,
Magic Dragon. Does he get to have the funky dunk from the dunk contest with Aaron Gordon where he dunked over him? Does he get to scoot around on the scooter? You got to tell me, otherwise it informs my decision.
nah, you can't have no.
Okay,
We're
so
not doing no
with no funky
no
dunk,
Scooty Puffs.
you you got to go to Benny the Bull Classic. He learned from the best. He learned from Michael Jordan, but they've changed the guy inside the mascot. There's a lot less acrobatics and crazy antics going on from Benny the Bull.
Doesn't he get
So
like beat up by Robin Lopez?
everyone does. That's different. It's about the mascots, not the NBA players. And so the real last one, the real best one, as far as dominant, I got to be a homer here. It's Mavs man. At first, I thought who was gonna win a fight, and I would have said the gorilla because you're not gonna take down a silverback gorilla even if you get to
Son
shoot him
Gorilla.
once. No way, it's not him. It's Mavs man. He is a basketball. His skin is a basketball. He's
So,
won with the game. He's
so he
gonna
just
win.
punching the rim.
He can do anything he wants. He can shoot threes. He can cross you over. He can do the sham god. So yeah, homer pick. I'm picking the Mavs, man.
What? He's still creepy as hell.
Yeah, you're right, but we're not talking about that. You don't even want to
Yeah,
foul him. You don't want to touch him.
yeah. You don't want to touch him.
It's like that. It's like that guy that's playing. He's gonna be playing shirts versus skins. You know he's skins.
Oh yeah.
It's like that guy that's all sweaty. You don't want to touch him. It's COVID-19. He's gonna dominate. He can shoot from wherever he wants. He can go to the hole. He's gonna dunk all over your whole team. You can get the Mavs gorilla. You can get the gorilla, the fucking Sir Brooklyn Knight. You can get Clippy, the LA Clipper.
What about Sir CC from
No, we don't care
Cleveland?
about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Your sword does nothing. That's a foul. You can't cut.
That's a
Uh,
foul.
you can't cut this basketball skin.
Hey,
It's
for real though,
hard as leather.
Blaze the Trail Cat got game though.
Yeah, you're right,
Respect.
but not the most dominant. He can be on our team though. He can be on the Mavs man's team. He can be the point guard.
All right.
Somebody's got to pass him the ball, get the rebounds. All right, so thank you for that lighthearted question, Alex. If you guys have any questions like that, serious or silly, please let us know. Andre, I'm gonna put you on social media. Do you one more time? Did you have something to say?
Did you know that the Cleveland Cavaliers have another mascot named Whammer?
Yeah, but he's like in the archives. He's like under the
Yeah.
stadium. They only
Yeah.
unearthed him during
Oh
like
shit. Yeah. You don't want
spooky
to talk
nights.
about one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Halloween time. Actually, it's spooky month right now. If there was a season going on anytime soon, maybe we would see him. But
Summoning Whammer. Okay. But nah, you can check us out. If you got any more questions or fan mail you want to drop us a line, hit us up on Twitter at shotcallershow.com. You can hit us up on Gmail at shotcallarshow@gmail.com, and hit us up at Instagram at _shotcallers.
We're putting a
Any
poll up
three of those.
immediately about
Mhm.
the outcome of this game, so you guys can just weigh in and see if you guys are right as along with Andre, or if you guys are right along with me. So we'll see how the votes go. Game one was astoundingly Heat centric, but we all know how that worked. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Thank you guys for following us on social media. Please tell your friends. The number one recommendation, the number one thing you can do for our show, is just let someone that you know that likes basketball know about our show. Tune them in. Shout outs to new listeners that we know have joined the nation, Eric. So shouts to him. And if you guys can spread the word, please do. We look forward to seeing you guys or having you guys listen to us on our next episode. And that's pretty much all I got. Any closing thoughts, Andre?
Vote.
Yeah, vote. Get someone else to vote. Listen to our podcast. Get someone else to listen to our podcast. Those are the four things that are critical to us. And that's all I got for this episode. My name's Rich,
And this is Andre.
and we are the Shot Callers. See you guys next time.